Hello Year 12 and welcome to the first video for the first topic for our HSC course. We're kicking off with finance and loans. This is going to be chapters 1 and 4. We're rolling the two together. We'll probably have a topic test at the end of chapter 1 as well as the end of chapter 4. We're going to kick off today with simple interest. The good thing about this is we've done it before. Okay, I'm sure you've seen a bit of simple interest. Some things to get across. Interest, the cost of borrowing money. Okay, you borrow $1,500, you pay back $1,750. The difference between what you borrowed and what you repaid is $250, so it's $250 interest. Now, interest is not the same as an interest rate. We have to be a little careful with language here. But just keep in mind, when you're asked to calculate the interest, it's the cost of borrowing the money. Now, simple interest relies on three things. The amount you borrow, which is called the principal, we abbreviate with capital P. Right, this thing called the rate of interest, that means it's got the word per in it, okay, and that's usually going to be some sort of percentage per annum. Now, it might be, which means per year, it might be per month or per week, something like that, but anyhow, it's what percentage of the principal is being charged in interest per length of time. Okay, so we've got the principal, we've got the rate of interest, and thirdly, the length of time, or the number of terms that you borrow that for. So the number of years or the number of days or weeks or whatever. So simple interest formula, very straightforward. Simple interest is PRN, the principal, times the rate, times the number of terms. One little thing to be careful of, we need to express that rate of interest as a decimal. We'll probably get it as a percentage. We need to change it to a decimal by sticking it over 100. We also call simple interest sometimes a flat rate of interest. Be careful of that in a question because there is more than one way of calculating interest. So flat rate means simple interest, and that's PRN. In our first example here, you can see calculate flat interest to be paid in a loan of $120,000, 5% per annum, flat, if the loan is to be repaid over 8 years. So some things to watch out for in these questions. Are we calculating the interest or how much will be repaid? Because remember, you don't just repay the interest, but the principal as well. This is only asking for the principal, so that's simple. 5% per annum, 8 years. So our principal is $120,000. Our rate of interest is 5% per annum, which we're going to write as 5 over 100. And our number of terms will be 8 years. So simple interest equals 120,000 times 5 on 100 times 8. When you're using a formula, you don't need to write the formula down, but you do need to, in every instance, right, show the substitutions. Now from here, look, if you really were working hard at it, you might just do that in your head. But I'm going to pull out the calculator. Here we go. And so it's 120,000, right, times 5 over 100. That's our 5%. Be careful to use your arrow here. Times our 8 years. Okay. And there we go. Our interest there is $48,000. So I can just write that there. $48,000 interest. Okay, that's a very simple question. It's our first one. Example 2 here, Monica borrows $16,000. Flat rate, 6% per annum. So some important things here. If you're doing an exam, you'd want to check out to remind yourself that's the flat rate. That's my principal here. That's my rate, or R is 6 over 100. Just be careful, that's per annum. Over 5 years, that's good. That's my number of terms. And we've also got to find the total amount. So this is the principal plus the interest is the answer that we're going to give. So some important things to watch out there. I've swapped names somewhere along the line. That's not Mary, that should be Monica. Okay, so flat rate of interest tells us it's this simple PRN. So our interest, SI for simple interest, is 16,000 times 6 over 100 times 5, and that's equal to, calculator, right, 16,000 times 6 over 100, arrow across there, times 5. So our interest is $4,800. But that's not what we repay. We've got to pay the interest and the principal. The total amount repaid is, so I'm going to say A for amount, is 16,000 plus 4,800. Okay, and look, I don't need the calculator there. That's going to be $20,800 is what Monica will repay for the car. All good. Now, third and final example here. Yep. Third and final example, Maurice borrows $10,000 to buy a motorbike. It's going to be repaid over 4 years at $250 per month. Calculate the flat rate of interest. Lucy, man, these are a mess. That should be Maurice. Has been charged, right? Well, how does this work? We're going to work out, okay, we're being asked to find what the rate of interest is. So we're going to work out how much Maurice paid in total. Okay, he pays $250 per month for 4 years. So the amount repaid, I'm going to say A for amount repaid, is 250 times 12, right? $250 per month times 4. Okay, so that's going to be $12,000. So Maurice has borrowed $10,000. He's repaid $12,000. That means that the interest is equal to the $12,000 minus the $10,000. Right, that's the total amount repaid minus the principal, is $2,000 in interest. It's not what we've been asked for, though, is it? The rate of interest is what we've been asked for. So it's $2,000 compared to, right, $2,000 compared to the $10,000 and the 4 years. So thinking back to our formula, simple interest is PRN, I'm going to say, substituting in $2,000 as our simple interest, is $10,000, that's the P, times some rate, times the number of terms, right, which is not 48. We're going to give it this as an annual rate of interest, so it's over how many years? So over 4. Well, that went a bit weird. Right. So rearranging this equation, I'm just going to say 2,000 equals 40,000 times R. Okay, that's just the 4 times the 10,000. And then we'll divide both sides by 40,000, and I'll get R is 2,000 divided by 40,000. Now, if we pull out the calculator, okay, if I say 2,000 divided by or over 40,000, I get a decimal here of 0.05. Okay, but what does that mean? Right, that equals, right, we multiply that by 100 to make it a percentage, equals 5% per annum. Okay, so that's a fairly complicated simple interest question where we work backwards through that formula to calculate the rate of interest. So that brings us to the end of this first video, this first exercise on simple interest. Remember, P is for principal, that's the amount you borrow. R is the rate of interest, expressed as a decimal or over 100. And N is the number of terms. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. You will repay on some loan the principal that you borrow plus the interest that it accumulates. Righto, that's it for the first one. If you got any questions, jot them down. Ask your teacher in class.